is in Oxley's Woods near Falconwood train station, and we decided our hypothetical school would be about 10 minutes walk from this space.
Oxley's Wood is a part of a collection of different woods, including Jack's Wood, Castle Wood, and Shepherdless Wood. It is actively managed as a nature conservation and is thought to be one of the most important woodlands for wildlife in the whole of London, and also has endangered trees.
What is in Oxley's Woods? There are a mixture of terrains and species of plant animals in Oxley's Wood, which provide rich learning resources for children of all ages and backgrounds. Some of the most notable species according to the Oxley's Wood websites are oak, silver birch, sweet chestnut, hornbeam, ash, wild service tree, hazel, crackwillow and alder. The Learning Outside the Classroom Manifesto speaks about how young people are intensely curious and should be given the opportunity to explore the world around them. We thought about this idea of exploration a lot when we were planning our lessons and decided that Oxley's Woods was a very good example of somewhere that you could take children outside the classroom to give them the freedom to use their own skills of inquiry and their natural curiosity to find things out.
This is a video of the pictures that we took when we went to Oxley's Wood first. We just thought we'd show you it to show you just how much is there, like the variation. And also, we thought it was really important to know that it's not our actual main topic isn't about like sustainability and endangered species, but because it's so obvious there, we thought we'd definitely mention it about like sustainability of your local environment and trees and things. This video is quite long.
We won't show it all. We was going to play a little song during it, but then the file was too big. The file thing, so it wouldn't have known. What was it?
We all went down to the woods.
Yeah, that was that. But it was it didn't work.
Obviously in the pictures you can see different types of leaves and things as well, and one of our activities we thought of whilst we'd be there is collecting those leaves and twigs and branches and making different animals and out of them.
I just want the picture of Nikki to come up holding
No,
it.
let's keep on.
Okay, our reading really emphasised the importance of learning outside the classroom. Ofsted and Learning Outside the Classroom Manifesto suggested the type of learning experience not only gives children a chance to improve their academic understanding of the topics covered, but also, in the words of Ofsted, includes better achievement, standards, motivation, personal development and behaviour.
Oxley's Wood's got loads of benefits, and we decided to use that wood in particular because there's loads around here, but Oxley's in particular is really conveniently placed in terms of access. And obviously our school is hypothetically only a 10-minute walk away, but we thought if you're in a school in London, Falconwood station is literally like, I'd say like a 5-minute walk, so there's loads of like access routes for it. We said obviously that if our school is only 10 minutes away, like this could be one trip of many, like you could go back and cover, because there's so much there, you could keep going back. And as Anna Wexler said, she's an educational advisor, and she advises schools that the local environment should be used when possible to stimulate students and to support a more creative learning experience. And she said that you should exploit whatever you've got to its full potential. So obviously, hypothetically, if Oxley's Wood was next door, you can use it for everything, not just for science.
So our first lesson, we're going to be introducing the whole topic of habitats, and our learning objective for this lesson would simply be to investigate the habitats in a forest setting. During this lesson the children will have a chance to explore the actual settings of research and things. The resources during this lesson would be firstly the Parkkeeper Treasure Hunt book, which will explain why we're using that in a moment. But also this lesson will use technology devices like laptops and iPads to be able to research the woods itself as well as habitats and other animals. So the lesson itself, we start by reading this book, and in this book Percy goes on a treasure hunt. He takes the animals on a treasure hunt, and during the treasure hunt they do find various habitats. On our trip we do actually do a treasure hunt, but prior to this lesson, once they get to read the book, they're going to have a chance to find out ways to use the book in their learning, and we will give them these sheets which you all have on the tables. This is their little learning pack thing. With some of the things they'll be filling out before the trip in this lesson and on the trip as well. So if you want to flip through it, there's some different activities. The children are placed in mixed ability groups, as we thought that way all children for all different abilities from it. There'll be whole class discussions of mind maps as well as flashcards and pictures for EAL children and children with other disabilities. It's basically just a prep session for the lesson, really. I've got my paper. Prior to the trip, we would have done a risk assessment, which when we went on our trip, we planned. Obviously, taking weather into consideration is important. So obviously, if it's going to be a hot day, they need to be with hats and sun cream. However, if it's a cold day, they need to just look really warm, as we found it was actually freezing when we went there. Also, welly boots are required because of the amount of mud that is actually there. Also, in the case of mud, it's quite up and down with hills, so obviously be careful of slipping, as I needed it myself. It's to warn the children about litter and dog feces and things. You don't have children picking up things they don't really want to be touching. Being careful of different plants and animals as well, such as different insect bites, just warning children of the dangers of them, and also about the habitats of the surroundings if they're going to pick up a log to make sure they put it back, because obviously animals and insects do live underneath.
Okay, so the trip itself. The learning objective of this lesson was to explore the local environment and research first-hand animals and their habitats. By the end of the lesson, or by the end of the school trip, they'd have found and collected different features of the wood, including twigs, sticks and leaves. They'd have explored different animal habitats, taken tree rubbings, and will be able to identify wooden animals and match those animals to their homes. So in the national curriculum, they'll be following SC1, which is scientific inquiry, and SC2, which is life and processes. Also, the area we chose to look at was the QCA Unit 2B, which is looking at the local environment and habitats. So children have already talked about the route that they'll take to walk to the forest and complete that in their first activity inside the workbook. The teacher would have also shared health and safety rules with them, which comes under the risk assessment. What we did is we looked at the risk assessment and we took out rules. That way it was involving the children in our planning and their learning. They would have gone through things like the animals on site and bees and wasp stings and what to do in case that happens before they went on the trip. So at the beginning of the trip, the children will start off at the cafe in Oxley's Woods and be shown pictures and figures of plants and animals that they might come across that day. They'll also have the opportunity to talk to a real-life forestier and be able to ask him questions or her questions about the woodland and the environment. The main part of the session is a habitat hunt, which actually Oxley's Woods, when you go on the website, do recommend as one of their main activities, where children can go around and they'll have a map with coordinates on there for the children to be able to follow and link towards, which will be part of their maths cross curriculum for this session. Children, when they get to a certain area using their coordinates, there'll be a mini activity there to help broaden their knowledge and understanding of the woodland area. At the end of the main session, they'll all be brought back together and use the mind maps that they had in the first session to do a what we know now. So other considerations, we looked at special needs and EAL. Sorry. I'm back again. Okay. Ahead. We also thought about the child-adult ratio, and we thought in this instance, because you're in the woods, we would ensure there was actually more adults than needed for in the case that a child hurts themselves or needs to go to the toilet. We thought about the lunch children would be taking with them. This lunch would be left in the cafe to stop the attraction of wildlife whilst they're going around the forest. Transport, as we discussed earlier, the children would have made a mapped out route and they'll be walking to the woodland area. The resources that they need, children will be provided with a clipboard that they'll attach their ranger booklet to, along with other spare paper. The class teachers will take pencils, coloured pencils and other resources that they might need on the trip. We also considered health and safety and things like if a child suffers from asthma and taking asthma pumps, and where that adult who's looking after those things should go in the group. Matt Steed in 2011 explains that children with dyslexia can learn better in a multi-sensory way, which was one of our main links when we were looking at special needs, as dyslexia is one of the main things that does actually come up inside the classroom. Jezard, 2010, describes an emphasis that children who do have English as an additional language should not be stopped from learning. And this is one main thing I think when we go to the Woodlands, because it is a hands-on experience, you don't need to do a lot of talking, they don't need to be told exactly what to do. They can go there and they can have a go and learn from it.
Right, and my lesson, or the lesson at the end, we did actually in the middle, would be just basically an evaluation of the trip and what they got from it. And obviously their prior learning, so they've had experience of speaking about the wood in a hypothetical way, so before they went and discussed it and discussed habitats and stuff. And then they've had the actual experience of discovering what habitats are hands-on. So they've had all the experience of talking about it and experiencing it. And so my lesson will be about discussing what they've found and using their experience to make guesses about other habitats that they couldn't necessarily experience themselves. And I said that basically the outcome would be for them to create like a poster or some kind of document they could use as a shared class resource. So I said that I'd make it groups, so there'd be separate groups, and each group would hopefully choose a different habitat, so it could be anywhere, wherever they were interested in, and then use that all together in a book in the classroom. But I said that for the success criteria, although that the outcome would be that, I think that the most important thing for them would be just speaking about their experience of the woodland and what they saw with their eyes. And just talking about me, I thought that was the most important thing, using their skills of inquiry, seeing if what they wanted to find out, if they did actually find out about it. I said that the Learning Outside the Classroom manifesto supports the idea that discussion is really important, and they said that one of the most important benefits of outside learning is the ability to develop skills of exploration and inquiry